time to shake the dust off and begin.
Hey everybody, welcome to Shift Your Story. It's your host, Lucy Price. Let's get started. Okay, so I guess we should start off by defining what NRE is. So NRE stands for New Relationship Energy. And it is that period at the start of the relationship when you're dating someone, you're really getting to know them, or maybe it's like the honeymoon phase of being in a relationship with them. But everything just feels good. You just want to like be around them all of the time. You can't stop talking about them. You can't stop thinking about them. You can't stop, thinking about them. I first heard this term from a friend of mine years and years and years ago, before I was even starting my work as a relationship coach. And once I heard this term, so much clicked into place in my beautiful young 20 brain. And I am surprised by how this term is not out there more. Why aren't we talking about new relationship energy in the world? Because it is such a big thing in the beginning of relationships. And so I wanted to talk about it here today. I wanted to share the word of new relationship energy so that you can be aware of all of those feelings that are happening at the start of a relationship. And so you can be really mindful of the choices you're making for yourself and for your life when you are in the grasps of new relationship energy. So new relationship energy is both the experience of getting to know someone, so the newness, like being really captivated by the newness of a relationship, but it's also hormones. It's also just like all of the hormones that come up when you're attracted to somebody and when you are sleeping with somebody for the first time. You don't have to be sleeping with someone to feel new relationship energy. It's just, it can happen. It is a part of new relationship energy, is you can form this attachment to someone when you are just in the lusts of passion and the newness of the experience. So new relationship energy, I wonder if that can be picked up on audio. This is a side note. My cat, I'm sitting in my cat's favorite chair and he always like uses it as a scratching post. So we have the assistant in the room today. But anyway, so the thing about new relationship energy that I think we could do to talk about more in our society and what I want to talk about more in my own work is that sometimes we can take new relationship energy and define it as love and feeling in love with somebody and wanting to really change our lives and mold our lives around this person, around this relationship. And it can get dicey. It can get dicey relatively quickly. And so I wanted to bring this topic up both to share what this is, but also to talk about how to be mindful of it when you come into the relationship and how to kind of check yourself without the courtship process. So the first thing that I want to say about new relationship energy is that new relationship energy is, at the end of the day, hard to sustain. It has a short lifespan. I have found in my own life that new relationship energy kind of lasts for about 3 months. And new relationship energy is different than limerence to me. If you haven't heard the term limerence before, limerence is the state of being obsessively like infatuated with somebody. And it's like borderline kind of like, I don't want to say delusional in a bad way, but it's just like you start creating all of these fantasies about them. You start planning out your entire life. It's really obsessive. It's really, really intense, like this intense desire, this intense craving of a romantic relationship with somebody. So I even define new relationship energy as different than limerence. If you want me to do a different podcast episode on limerence, I absolutely can, because I think that I've definitely felt it in my life. But I think it's something that can come up in relationships, but it's just different than new relationship energy. And the thing about limerence to keep in mind too is it is a spectrum like everything else. So while I think that I have experienced limerence, I would say it's more on the like lesser degree side. And I think limerence is more common than we give it credit for. So anyway, new relationship energy is different than limerence. Limerence is much more obsessive. It's much more one-sided, whereas new relationship energy is kind of like a dance. Like it's a dance two people go through for a period of time. And new relationship energy just has that shorter lifespan. So I think it can be sustained for like a few months, like 3 to 6 months. I think it can be sustained. I've seen it be sustained for about 6 months, but then it starts to really taper off and you start to become like in the day-to-day relationship with somebody. And that's where you can start to tell the difference between new relationship energy and being in love with someone. So being in love with someone is much more grounding. It's a different kind of energy. It goes deeper than butterflies and flushes of adrenaline and really thinking about someone all of the time. It's grounded. It is like the movement of the soul for me. Like, this is my perspective on love. And there's different kinds of love, of course, but being in love is something that is grounded, that is soothing, that is secure, that is like really soul provoking, that is caring, and it's not just captivation. It's not just newness. It is solid. And so some pointers that you are in love with someone and not just in new relationship energy with someone is, do you want to spend time with them and build experiences with them even when the newness dies down, even when the hormones start to fade, even when you start to get into the mundane day-to-day life? Do you still have that desire to connect deeper with that person? Or do you keep wishing it could go back to the beginning? Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting it to go back to the beginning sometimes, like to experience that newness for the first time again. But like, are you craving all of the feelings all of the time from the beginning? Are you like really resentful that they're not like they were at the beginning? And the reason I say that is because oftentimes at the beginning of a relationship, we fill in the blanks of who someone is with who we want them to be because we don't know them yet. And so we create all these stories about them and perceptions on them that we only get to see if they're accurate the more time we spend with them, the more we get to know them, the more they reveal themselves to us. And so you can kind of tell the difference based off of, do you want to be around them? Do you accept them for who they are 3-6 months in? Or are you really kind of resentful at who they are and don't really like it and kind of wish that you could go back to your beginning perception on them? Or do you want them to be who you want them to be and not who they are? So that's some of the ways you can start to tell the difference between new relationship energy and actually being in love, actually wanting to be with that person. Now, the next phase of this is I want to implore you to not make any big decisions about life when you are in a new relationship energy with somebody. In saying that, I've heard stories of it going well. Story time, actually, side note story time. I do actually have an aunt and uncle who got married a week after meeting each other, and it worked out. They've been together for like 50 or so years. So, but that's like, that's like a variable, that is not what happens for most people. Most people make rash decisions and then later regret it. And when you are picking a life partner, when you are dating for a long-term relationships, and when you are making fast decisions in your life before you've really gotten to know someone, I have found in this is not a real statistic, but in 80% of the cases, 90% of the cases, those people regret it. And so I really implore you to don't quit your job and move across the country for someone you met on Tinder a week ago. Enjoy the new relationship energy, but take the bigger life decisions that affect you slowly, like where you live, your work, the big things in your life. Take those decisions slowly, because when we make big decisions from that hormonal or from that new place, it's important to know that those decisions aren't going to have a lasting effect on our future. So don't make any big decisions. But then the second thing I want to invoke here is think about compatibility. So if you've listened to, honestly, I don't know if I've done a podcast episode on this yet. I feel like I must have, but let me just do a TLDR on compatibility. So compatibility for me is shared values, shared interests, shared vision for life, and then attraction to the person, both emotionally, intellectually, and sexually. So when you are in that new relationship energy with someone, really start to think about, are you compatible with this person as well? Do you have shared interests? Do you have shared goals, shared visions for the future? Do you have enough shared interests or interests that are compatible with each other? Are you attracted to them? Not just physically, not just emotionally, but like in all aspects of attraction. And so really think about, is this person a compatible fit for you and a compatible fit for your life and what you want out of your life? When you are in the throes of new relationship energy, it's easy to think that those things don't matter, that you'll just figure it out at some point. But often, like, some of the leading causes of divorce are due to incompatibility. And I believe the divorce rate at this point is still like 50% in America. I haven't looked at that statistic. Oh my goodness, words. I have not looked at that statistic recently. I should, honestly, I'll look at that and I'll actually do a little bit of research and I'll put it in the show notes of what that statistic actually is. But one of the leading causes of divorce is due to incompatibility. And so again, going back to like making those big choices in a relationship, be aware, are you making those choices from new relationship energy, or has the relationship had the lifespan the lifespan that it really needs to get to know someone and to get to know someone's values, get to know someone's vision for life, what their goals are, what their interests are, and are you attracted not only to them physically, but also emotionally, also intellectually? So take some time to think about compatibility, to think about if they are actually a good fit for you, a good fit for your life and what you want out of your life, what you want out of your partner, what you want out of your potential co-parent one day. Okay, new relationship energy, that's the TLDR. And I hope this served you. I hope you enjoyed this spiel on new relationship energy, which everyone, it's just like, to me, it feels like teenage love. It just feels like that, sweet time period when you're kind of in this like cocoon fantasy with somebody and exploring everything for the first time. And this is, honestly, enjoy this part of the relationship. Like, really do enjoy new relationship energy. It's one of the most beautiful feelings I've ever experienced. It's one of the greatest feelings I think there ever is. But it's just not something that you want to make big life decisions over, and don't mistake it for being in love with somebody. All right, bye everybody. I'll see you next time. Let me know what you think about new relationship energy, about being in love in the comments. Have you experienced new relationship energy? Have you made any bad or big or drastic decisions? And have you lived to regret them or celebrate them? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.
So make whatever change you need to make.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If something resonated with you in today's episode, if you could leave a review, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps other people learn what we're all about here at Shift Your Story, and it helps this podcast reach listeners who may need to hear what it is that we have to say. If you would like to connect with me or work with me, you can visit my website at www.shiftyourstory.net. You can also find all of my socials on there so you can connect with me in the way that works best for you. I'll see you next time.